Hey, what's up, Zone Dweebies? I'm a big Ghostbusters fan, and with the approach of the remake in this past summer, Answer the Call, I was getting really excited about Ghostbusters, and after watching the film, I actually started to get a little more nostalgic towards the Real Ghostbusters animated series. And I think there's a good reason. I've seen the film a couple times now, and sometimes I think that there's a strong influence in that film just as much for the animated series as it was for the original film, because if you look at the new film, it has quite a few things in common. There's kind of lighthearted, the lighthearted humor. The action has a kind of like a fast, cartoonish like pace in some scenes. It has a human villain that uses ghosts to his purposes, and also Holtzman fills in Egon's role in this film, and she appears more like animated Egon versus live-action Egon. So, yeah, it started getting me thinking a lot about this show. I was a big fan of it as a teenager, and I actually treated it more as a sequel to the original film than the actual live-action sequel that came out. So, with that said, let's take a look at my personal top 10 favorite episodes of The Real Ghostbusters. Now, if you don't see your favorite episode on here, this is my personal list, and sorry about that. That's how it goes. So, let's take a look now, shall we? Number 10, Doctor. In a seemingly ordinary case, they are chasing a little beastie demon thing. They blow him up, and he explodes all over them, getting goop all over them, which is something we've seen before, and they've experienced before, obviously. Except the problem is, in this case, is that it doesn't come off, and it actually starts growing all over them, this pink, goo, slimy stuff. And it gets to the point where they decide, you know what, maybe we should go to the doctor on this. So they go to the hospital, and the problem is, they've never seen this before. They don't know what to make of it. And, Egon and Ray don't even know what to make of it until it starts growing body parts back. And apparently, they discover that the beastie had blown up all over them and was regrowing on top of them. And it eventually just forms back into another creature. Until then, hilarity ensues with all this kind of like kid-friendly body horror with them experiencing this goopy stuff all over them that they can't shower off or pull off or anything. And it's kind of a gross, funny episode, frankly. And number 9 is The Spirit of Aunt Lois. Ray's aunt, Lois, is experiencing a ghost problem. So what does she do? She calls someone else. And she calls this phony psychic and ghost experience guy Bassingale. And Bassingale is a fraud, and he's pretty much like any fraud you'd see. And what's interesting about this episode that always really struck me was that you'd think that people would be wiser about this because, ghosts exist now in this universe, and Ghostbusters are very public about what they do. So you'd think that would have a different effect on it. However, you know what? There would still be people, there would still be frauds out there walking around acting like they can take care of ghosts in their Axe body spray and their leather jackets, sitting in empty rooms yelling, "Come on, bro!" and telling people, yeah, we defeated evil demons today. And I don't know, I saw a blip on the camera, but okay, I guess that was a demon. And yeah, you know what? These people would be emboldened, not blown away. And that's exactly what happens in this episode. Because, hey, I guess ghosts exist, so this guy, I guess he seems to know what he's talking about. I love that this was addressed in this episode, because frankly, in most everything Ghostbusters, especially the 3 films, skeptics are treated like idiots. And you know what? It's kind of the opposite. You should be skeptical when someone goes, hey, you know what? There's some demons in your house. I can get rid of them for a pretty penny. It's like, oh, okay, well, all right. I'm an open-minded person. Here's my money. No, that's not right. That's not how it should work. And that's what I like about this episode a lot, is it does look at the other side. I wish more Ghostbuster stories had really kind of approached this idea. Number 8, Lost in Foundry. And this is a pretty well-animated episode. It's nice and action-packed, and it's similar to Dr. Doctor in that they think they destroyed a ghost or beast in the first scene, and it comes back in a weird way at them. This time around, they think they vaporized this ghost at a metal foundry, and it ended up kind of like merging itself with the iron and metal that was being melted and formed and made into different objects, and it starts possessing all sorts of metal objects and machines, even the fire pole, because in an early scene of this episode, Slimer accidentally destroys it, and they have to order a new one. So one comes in, and oops, it's from that metal foundry. So Peter slides down it, and I don't know how this works, but it holds on to him, and he swings him around. And he actually has the funniest line in the episode at this point when he says he's getting really dizzy, and he says he hadn't felt this way since Woodstock. And I love the fact that there is basically a pot joke in this kid-friendly Ghostbusters show. This one's a neat one. I do recommend this one a lot. Number 7. You can't take it with you. And this is basically kind of Die Hard with ghosts. This rich jerk essentially knows he's dying, so he hires some scientists to work on this portal that will go off to, I guess, the next life after he dies. And they have figured out a way to evaporate matter and shoot it through the portal. So what he wants to do is, he doesn't want his money to go to charity after he dies. He wants to take literally the money with him. As much as his possessions he can go, his gold, his money, even his servants, which is, from what I understand, is technically murder. And the Ghostbusters invade his plan because this, of course, sets off their alarms, because somebody is trying to create a portal to the other world. So they invade his building, and they have to escape like robots and also ghosts that are being released from the portal. And man, this is a fun episode. I remember watching this episode a lot. And one of the things I like about it is it puts them in an action. It puts them in an action story that really isn't typical. They're not fighting one particular monster or a demon or anything like that. They're fighting a guy who just has a bad plan, and he's going about it. Number 6, Ragnarok and Roll. This is written by J. Michael Straczynski, and he's written several episodes of the good episodes of the Real Ghostbusters, which is so funny. I mean, he is all over the place as far as what he's worked on with Babylon 5. He's worked on comics, he's worked on films, and he's done some really good work here on the Real Ghostbusters. And this episode goes against what I normally like for Ghostbusters, in that I think Ghostbusters should always stick to being comedy, and then horror, sci-fi, action secondary. And this one, as far as I'm concerned, kind of breaks the rules. It's a great episode, but it goes serious first. I'm not kidding. There's very few jokes in this episode. I would say that an average episode of Justice League Unlimited is funnier than this one. And essentially, it's about this guy named Jeremy who feels like the world is evil and horrible because his girlfriend left him. And he has this magic flute, and he figured out he can make a deal with this demon god that has this evil face in the sky. He plays this flute, and it's sort of the key to bringing this demon's minions into the world and attacking, and they are invulnerable to the proton packs. They are just a different frequency, and it will take forever for the Ghostbusters to figure out, and they are all over the world, and they're attacking, destroying all cities. The plan is, of course, this demon will take over, and, Jeremy and his best buddy, Detilio, will be, I guess his advisors or minions? I'm not sure what the gods... every time a character makes a deal with a god like this, I'm not sure what the bargaining posture is after it's all done. Like, okay, I've taken over the world. I could kill both of you. There's no real reason why I don't have to. And of course, it changes Jeremy, his physical appearance. He kind of turns blue, and he has these creepy, watery eyes that I really enjoy visually. I think he's very creepy once he becomes a minion of this god. And it, of course, ends with this wonderful speech by Detilio telling him, hey, look, man, I'm deformed. I've had people, like, abuse me all my life. I've had a tough life. And you know what? I've gotten by it. I've been able to do okay. And that is, I'm sorry, those are the breaks. That's how life is. And, of course, that snaps Jeremy out, and he plays a different tune, I guess, that gets rid of the demons just in time. So the episode does kind of end on this note of redemption, and Jeremy might have his girlfriend Cindy back, and the Ghostbusters are kind of okay with him being I might have some issues with this episode now. Oh, okay, let me get this straight. Cindy dumps Jeremy. Jeremy decides to commit mass genocide because Cindy dumped Jeremy. Then he decides to not commit mass genocide, and Cindy takes him back. And everyone's okay with this? Yeah, you know, the ending of this episode kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. I've always really liked it, and it's on the top 10 list. But the more I watch the episode over the years, and the more I grow up, and the more I think about it, the more this ending is a little lacking, essentially. Because, okay, Jeremy decides the world is too hateful and evil to survive, so he commits this act of making a deal with this demon to bring his minions to destroy the Earth and kill everyone. That's actually a similar plot and motivation of two of the live-action Ghostbuster villains. In the original Ghostbusters, Ivo Schengler has created this deal with Gozer, but his motivation came out of World War I. I don't agree, obviously, but World War I was a pretty big deal. And he was even dead by the time the film started, so, you know, there's no payback on that. The villain in the new Answer the Call movie, you don't get any, like, one direct cause, but you get the feeling a lifetime of resentment has built to this point, and he has created this plan. And you do get retribution on that one. So, yeah, there's resolution on that. Jeremy got dumped. And let's just think about this for a second. The average relationship in America is roughly 6 to 10 months. So, okay, they're dating for 6 to 10 months. She wants to focus on her life. He, I guess, is like going, hey, let's have babies, or I love you, and this is our lives. And she's like, you know, okay, maybe I don't love you as much as you're loving me here. Either that or, you know, his Bill Clinton voice is not doing it for her. I don't know. But, yeah, that's her right. And that's everyone's right. If you can't take it, and if your, like, obvious next step is to murder every man, woman, and child on the earth because the world is so terrible, you know what? There needs to be some extra retribution, some kind of, like, payback for what you're trying to do, even if you don't succeed at it, even if you turn around at the last ditch second, because your best friend Attilio tells you the most obvious thing in the world. Yeah, and then he, of course, yeah, he does play the other song on the flute to, like, pull everything back and, you know, get rid of the demons and, you know, try and close the portal. I'm pretty sure people died in this, and you know, of course, it's a cartoon in 1989, so We can't see, like, dead bodies in the street. But kind of looks like probably somebody got hurt. Probably, since it's all over the world, maybe thousands of people got hurt or killed. Yeah, there's no going back after that. I don't care. I'm pretty sure Cindy doesn't mean it when she says, we can start over again. I'm fairly certain she was just saying that because he's crazy. And you have to say something to him. So... yeah, I mean, is this guy that always his reaction? Like, when he gets fired from Arby's for not showing up on time? Is his next thought mass murder? Is he going to talk to Cthulhu? Yeah, so everything's hunky-dory, and I don't know, there needs to be something for that ending. It's a little bit of a weaker ending. Other than that, it's a great episode. I love this episode, and it's just one little sticking point. Number 5, The Ghostbusters in Paris, which I think was recently referenced in IDW's Ghostbusters comic, Ghostbusters International. We learned that the Eiffel Tower was the original ghost trap, and that the inventors of the tower weren't actually just simply building the Eiffel Tower to be like, this beautiful center of Paris, but it was also had a alternate design, in that it was meant to be this magnet for ghosts, and it sucks them up. So, if there's any demons or ghosts in Paris, they could just get drawn and sucked into the tower, and there's no ghosts in Paris. Unfortunately, the battery gets broken in the first scene of the episode, and they're escaping and going all through Paris, and they haven't quite escaped the tower just yet, but it looks like they're about to, and it's going to be pretty bad. That's when the people of Paris call the Ghostbusters, and they come over. They even bring Ecto-1 by plane, which is so funny. And what starts is just an awesome episode. This is a nice action-packed episode. There's some cute American versus French jokes. The set design looks really beautiful. The art, the backgrounds for this episode looks great, because they obviously couldn't use normal backgrounds. This is a different city, so they had to paint all new backgrounds, and it looks great. There's a scene, Ray has this awesome scene in the Louvre, and Winston has this great scene where he is shooting a proton pack on top of the elevator that's going up on the tower. It's just a really excellent episode. Highly recommended. Number 4, Janine Melnitz, Ghostbuster. And this is another episode where ghost activity seems to be increasing, and they don't know what the problem is. They're even comparing it to Gozer from the first film. And Janine has a problem too. She has ghosts in her apartment, and she thinks, well, hey, I work for the Ghostbusters, that should get priority. But no, it doesn't. They're still hitting all the major spots in the city, and they're basically telling her, look, we'll get to you. And it sucks. They're bothering her daily life. So she grabs a proton pack and goes into her apartment and catches the ghosts herself. When she gets back, she realizes that the Ghostbusters have gone. They've been captured by the god Proteus, who had been building this army of ghosts, and he had been causing the problem. It's a great episode. She goes and finds them and saves them from Proteus, and even beats Proteus herself. I love this episode, and I'm a big Janine fan. Janine is one of my favorite characters from the original film, and the animated series. She was great, particularly played by Laura Summer. Here's a hint. If the Real Ghostbusters episodes don't have Laura Summer playing Janine, it's a bad episode. It's not going to be a good episode. Same thing with that other guy playing Peter Venkman. If it's not Lorenzo Music, chances are you're not watching a good episode of the Real Ghostbusters. Okay, now we're on to number 3, and it's another Janine episode. It's Janine's Day Off. And this one's great. It is about Janine finally getting Egon to go visit her family. And looks like pretty much of a slow day at the firehouse. So they bring in a temp, Louise, and Louise gets to see all this fresh, and she's just a regular person off the street. While this is going on, Slimer's accidentally flipped a switch on this portal that Egon was trying to build, and it accidentally lets a few imps, these tiny little gremlins type imps, in, and they kind of run all over the firehouse, and Slimer's trying to casually get them back, but it's not working out. And it starts getting worse when Peter discovers them and trying to show off because he's trying to hook up with Louise. And so he fires a proton back and it multiplies them because these things don't work for imps. That's another thing I like about the animated show is sometimes they had to come up with different plans besides just shooting it with proton packs. Like, the proton packs wouldn't work with every kind of monster or demon or spirit. They'd have to think of something else, and I think that was really clever and really smart of the show instead of just constantly doing that. So when Egon and Janine get back, Peter decides to reverse the polarity, and that's a mistake because what it does is it merges all the beasts into one giant imp who's like maybe 20 feet tall and running through the city, and they have to go chase after this thing. Meanwhile, Louise, when she was running away from the imps, she accidentally switched on the same stupid portal that Egon had. Maybe Egon shouldn't, put the switch to the portal from hell next to the door, where normally everybody would, walk in and go, oh, okay, maybe this is the lights. Nope, portal to hell. Sorry. Yeah, Egon is brilliant, but you don't put the switch to hell next to the door. So, yeah, Louise actually let 3 more spirits in, and it's up to Janine to once again take out these ghosts. And funny episode. This might be the funniest episode in the pack, and also there's a lot of action going on in the firehouse, and the firehouse is nicely detailed and beautiful. It looks like well, actually, it is a place you can go to, but it literally, you look like you could crawl into the TV screen and hang out in the firehouse. It's just so nicely done. Love this episode. Number 2, The Collect Call of Cthulhu. Yes, Cthulhu. Yeah, the Cthulhu that the Ghostbusters take on. There is a cult that is trying to bring Cthulhu into our world. The same kind of story with all these kind of things. Let's bring in this other thing to destroy everybody and rule, and apparently we'll be the cool humans that they won't kill. So they name drop H.P. Lovecraft. They name drop Arkham, which is really cool to hear. It's really cool to hear Arkham in a different cartoon besides Batman. And they have to bring in this extra professor. She's from a different college, and of course Peter wants to hook up with her, and she's like, whatever. And she definitely helps them out a lot. She knows cantations, and that helps out a couple of times. It saves their butts from a couple of monsters. She even takes on Cthulhu herself, but she needs the assistance with the proton packs because they need a greater charge. So it's an interesting use of this professor who knows magic and the Ghostbusters. This is a fantastic episode. I would have loved to have seen live-action Ghostbusters versus Cthulhu. I mean, how cool is this episode? All right, number 1. My favorite episode of the Real Ghostbusters of all time. It's Cold Cash and Hot Water. Now, I mentioned a couple of times in reference to the live-action films, and I'll be honest, this would have made an excellent plot for Ghostbusters 2, or if they ever made 3, or if they make a sequel to the remake that just came out, although they'd have to rework the plot. Essentially, Peter's dad, who's appeared in previous episode, I don't remember his name ever actually being uttered, so we'll just call him Peter Venkman Sr. And Peter Venkman Sr. is a con artist. He's basically Stan Pines, who has kind of a hand in actual supernatural events, but he's still just making it up as he goes along. And he discovers this black ice in Alaska, and he thinks, hey, this would be cool. I need to make some money off this. And he discovers the legend of Hob-Anagarik, who was this awesome demon called the First Demon, who is imprisoned in this black ice. He had this great idea. Why don't I release it and go on tour with it and show it to people? And, the Ghostbusters come up with a thing to, keep it caged and stuff like that. And it'll be great. Of course, the Ghostbusters, Egon tells him this is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. We're just going to blast it and destroy it and move on. Unfortunately, he's a con artist, so he finds some fake black ice and tricks them into thinking that they've destroyed it, and he moves on, and he finds none other than Basingale, the guy from the Aunt Lois episode. And together they devise this electric fence that's supposed to keep out ghosts or keep in ghosts, and it doesn't work because he's a demon. He's a giant demon, and he instantly breaks it and escapes. And it's up to the Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman Sr. and Basingale, as well as Janine, taking part in this ritual and redoing the spell that captured Hob-Anagarik in the first place. Cool episode. First off, Hob-Anagarik is a great monster. He has this awesome look. He has this furry, strange body and these tusks, and he has this weird roar, and he's very menacing. He's not even intimidated at all by the Ghostbusters. Peter's dad, I think, is a fantastic character. I love the fact that Peter's dad was this shuck jive artist who just, is trying to make a buck, and he's kind of embarrassing to Peter. And it also helps show a side of Peter, like, oh, yeah, you know what, there is this kind of side to the character that just wants to kind of take the easy way to fame, and that was never really... He's always been not serious as a scientist as the others. And this definitely is a nice way of showing that. Also, Janine is hilarious. She has some very good one-liners in this one. And it's just an altogether solid episode. If you haven't seen this episode, recommended. Go find it. Go check it out. This is Ghostbusters 3, or The Real Ghostbusters 2. I love this one a lot. I think that's it, so I'm going to hand it back over to myself, and I'll talk to you later. Oh, hi. We're done, I guess. Well, that's it. That's my top 10 list of my personal favorite Ghostbusters episodes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or particular favorite episodes you want to list below, please do so in the comments, or let me know how stupid and wrong my choices were. Also, I just want to mention some of the things I liked about these episodes is that I think all of these episodes are part of the syndication package that Real Ghostbusters had. And back in the day, the network seemed to do this syndication package deal. And I'm not sure what the point of it was. I assume maybe it was to add more episodes, because network Saturday morning shows were usually 13 episodes. That's it. However, to bulk it up a little bit, there's shows like Real Ghostbusters, I think Ninja Turtles, Disney's Aladdin, Beetlejuice, and I think a couple other shows too, had simultaneous syndicated runs that were like daily. And what was cool about these is these episodes usually had a little more room to play around with, because networks were always really tight on censorship and what you could do and what you couldn't do. And the Real Ghostbusters eventually in the series suffered greatly because of these stupid mandates. However, they were able to get away with doing, I think, 60 episodes of a series with less interference. So that's why pretty much my list is the syndicated episodes. There are some good episodes in the first ABC season, mind you, but there's nothing better than these episodes. I also like the anime flavor. I'm not sure what studio they got, but a lot of these episodes look and sound like anime episodes. They even have some kind of anime foley that I hear every so often that I only hear in anime cartoons. So that was kind of cool. It was kind of neat seeing that vibe with Ghostbusters, which made episodes and the action sequences in these episodes all the more fun to watch. So I think that's it, and I thoroughly enjoyed these episodes, so I hope you enjoyed running down the list with me, and you take care, and let's be careful out there. Push the button, Lindsay.